It's not popular with the emergency services. They believe they should have an exemption, but the law doesn't give them an exemption. The law says they're only exempt if they're on an emergency. Speed is killing people. 1 in 3 crashes in this country has speed as an element, either excessive speed or inappropriate speed. It's vital that everybody learns to stick to the speed limit, and certainly the emergency services, they're in very high profile vehicles, they're there to be seen, they're on shore, and they should be setting the example.
Well, obviously police drivers are the same as any other member of the public. If they are caught speeding, then there are processes that have to be put in place. They're liable to appear before the court just the same as any other driver. However, there are exemptions for the police officers. If they are driving a police vehicle at excessive speed for police purposes and they can justify that it was necessary to drive at excessive speed, then the likelihood is that they will not get prosecuted, because after all, we have a job to do. There are people out there who will blatantly flout the law, they will drive at excessive speeds. We have to be able to catch those people. And if the law was so rigid as to not afford us any police exemptions, then it would be ridiculous.
I get no end of complaints from people who say they were overtaken by a police vehicle that didn't appear to be on an emergency call. There are some occasions when a police car can be travelling at speed without its blue lights on. For example, if they're going to a burglary, the last thing they want to do is announce they're on the way. So it's not always that easy to the untrained eye. But I've seen examples of police cars and other emergency vehicles where clearly they're on nothing other than a routine journey, exceeding the speed limit, and it simply isn't good enough.
No emergency is so urgent so as to justify an accident. So it's very, very important that every person who gets behind the wheel of a police vehicle has safety in their upper mind, in their thoughts. So no matter whether they're driving a Panda car around the districts or a high-powered police patrol car, safety is the #1 priority, safety of the public, safety of the drivers themselves. If they're involved in pursuits, then obviously the safety of the person they're pursuing. But safety is the #1 criteria that is applied to any police driver training. They've got to justify why they exceed the speed limit. Every officer has to. So it's not easy, it will be investigated, and if they're found that they haven't got a legitimate reason, then they will receive a summons and they will go to court and they'll get points on the licence, exactly the same as a member of the public. Any officer that is prosecuted for any offence will have to notify the Deputy Chief Constable. As a result of that, internal disciplinary action would probably follow, and I would imagine a further driving assessment to make sure that they're fit to be driving police vehicles.
I know for a fact, certainly in Cleveland Police Force now, we're getting what they call black box recorders fitted to them, to all the police cars, uniformed police cars, which gives a whole history of every journey they go on, so we'll be able to see exactly what speeds they were doing. Some recent crashes of Cleveland police cars have shown speeds of nearly 100 miles an hour in what is really a vehicle designed to do normal sort of routine patrols in, not a patrol car. That is unacceptable. The driver isn't trained to that standard, he's not up to it, and he proves it by the fact that he crashes.
A number of collisions, we've had a number recently. All we can do is keep trying to train officers to the best of our ability, to keep trying to impress on them that safety is the #1 criteria that must be applied. It's no use driving at 100 miles an hour if you're going to end up crashing and not actually getting to the incident that you were sent to. Every incident, like I say, is investigated fully. So if an officer has been sent to an incident, there will be a record in the Police Command and Control Centre that we can investigate. There'll be an intergraph, what we call an intergraph number, an event number. We can look at that incident. In most cases, if an officer has gone through a speed camera or a red light camera, they will actually shout in on the radio and say that's what they've done. We can check up to make sure they are going to an emergency job, and under those circumstances, providing it was legitimate, then they wouldn't be prosecuted. If there are no legitimate reasons for you to exceed the speed limit, then you stick to the speed limits. We do have journey data recorders fitted to many of our police vehicles now, black boxes as they are commonly known, and they will monitor the speed, the gear, any erratic driving by the driver, and we can look back at that information in the event of a collision, and action will be taken against the officer.
The fleet's too big to monitor the data that's being gathered on a regular basis. I mean, that would be an ideal world, so you could see what standards people are driving to. Unfortunately, they're normally only interrogated after there's been an incident, a crash, or if they've pleaded not guilty to a speeding offence or something like that, then the data would be looked at. But what does happen within the police service is constant monitoring of driving standards with regard to training. Every 3 years, everybody is reassessed. They're taken out on an assessment drive to show what their standard is. If they fail to meet the standard, they put on refresher driving courses. So a lot goes on to try to improve standards. But it's the same old story. When they're turned loose in the car on their own, without an instructor beside them, well, they do what they feel fit. And then you get the red mist appearing when they're going somewhere in a hurry, and that's when things go wrong.
The laws of the road apply to everyone, and that includes the police. But we have a job to do. It's no use our hands being tied if we have people driving stolen vehicles at excessive speed, or we have members of the public who think that they can drive at excessive speed, putting lives at risk. Then we've got to be in a position to be able to apprehend these people. That will mean that we will have to exceed the speed limit ourselves, but the training that we've been given enables us to do that so that we can do it safely, and that is always uppermost in our minds, to catch these people but in a safe way and respond to incidents. You know, our protection of life and property is uppermost in our mind. We've got to get there. Sometimes we have to exceed the speed limit. As long as we're doing it legitimately, then we should be allowed to do so.